Hi and welcome to the channel. I am J.M. Ray Writes and I am an aspiring author documenting my journey of becoming a published writer. And today join me for a very chatty vlog where I go through the brainstorming process of my character, their backstory, and some of the visual elements of Project X. I messed up. I was on TikTok for 15 minutes, but I let the thingy go off and it was like, you've been on for 15 minutes, time to get off. And I was like, you're right. And I got off. Good for me. Progress, whatever. I said I was going to stay in bed until it was time to edit. Until I edited some stuff. And I'm going to do that. So I'm going to get right back in bed. Just had to wash my face. Get myself together a little bit. Okay, so I just finished a pretty decent writing session. It lasted for an hour and 10 minutes, and I think I got important details of the scene. So I actually was working on my co-authoring project, Project X. This is chapter 3. I haven't read what my co-author wrote in chapter 2, but I know kind of where I wanted to go in chapter 3. So I was just setting up the scene, how the school looks like. Right now, I'm really trying to figure out like the details of what the school is. We don't have a name for it and we don't have a specialty, but what we do have is endless possibilities. So obviously it's a school about magic and I'm trying to figure out, I want to do something very niche, very different. So I was thinking, what if it's a nature architectural school? It's so random, but it came to me because when I'm inspired by, I'm trying to think of what the school looks like. I don't want it to be Eurocentric, inspired by like old churches. Honestly, that's what I see every time I look at like a boarding school or like a prestigious college. I want something new. I want something fresh. I want something beautiful and architecturally interesting. So I'm thinking more of going the organic route. What if the building that the majority of the students spend their time is like a multi-function space. So it's where the students study, it's where they socialize, but also it's where they eat. I imagine that it's an indoor outdoor kind of situation with a lot of sunlight coming through the top, and then the outside is all exposed. So it could close down in the winter or on really cold days. And what if the building is made out of really tall trees where the branches are intertwined to make an arc above them? I think that's really cool. So I think that's what I'm going with. Now, my character, who is someone that is very much into plants, is like the resident kind of expert. What if he's on, like, has something to do with the building? So obviously I'm trying to build out this story and I don't know where it's going, but I'm trying to build up my character and small potential details that could enrich the story, could be a subplot for all I know. And I feel like maybe this is one way to go. What if the school, right now the school is not like a prestigious school. It maybe in recent years, the school has gotten more popular. And at its height of its popularity, maybe it was the year before, they started getting a whole bunch of donations and more funding, and the school is looking to expand. After the death of the student in the last year, they took a hard hit. Maybe they had been promised funding for a new building. Maybe that person retracted because of the scandal, or they're already iffy because of the scandal, and therefore the school has even that much more to lose. Also, the prestige of the school itself benefits everyone. I'm thinking that because the architectural elements of the school are all natural, And I have a moment in the first chapter where I make my character kind of manipulate. I'm not going to say manipulate, but the plants move because of him, or vines, for example. So I don't know if I'm going to make him someone that can manipulate vines, or, and manipulate is a mean word, I think. Someone that, even control. Someone who has his way with speaking and whispering into nature. So I'm thinking, what if that would make him kind of integral to the new buildings that are being built? Because if they want to incorporate natural elements, he's the one that can kind of talk to the trees and say, hey, we want to make this shape. Can you do it? Can you be sturdy? Can we trust you to take care of the students and not collapse on us, or decide to like go back into the forest? It's sentient, right? They have their own desires. And it's about whether or not you trust that living structure to protect the students. And so I have that building I was mentioning before is their most popular place and what they are known for. So every time people come to tour the schools, when they make decisions on where to send their kids, it's because they've kind of fell in love with this place. So the school is going to lean into that and now update the rest of the school to kind of match that architecture. Would that put then my main character in like potentially an architectural committee? And what does that add to the story? Like, it just adds on responsibilities. It's not something that would be necessarily vital to the storyline, but it would just be like, he has even more things to do. Now he's the headmaster and his students are asking him to teach a new class and he doesn't want to let them down. He decides to start a club, but he also has his committee responsibilities. He also has to be like the new face of the school and talk to teachers, parents, and pretty much be this big figure in the school in the way that he never was before. And a lot of things are riding on him. So it could just be like, these are things that add to the pressure on why he would make certain decisions, why he would keep certain things secret that he never would, but it would just be for the betterment of what he thinks the school needs, what he thinks the students need. And I want him to be like a student-focused teacher, someone who really, really cares about having like a safe place for the kids. It's something that he would have wanted in his youth. Like, he loves the school, but it's not like he necessarily had any aspirations to become headmaster. He doesn't think he's ready or prepared for this, but he knows that this is just a temporary thing, and therefore he just has to kind of survive the next year until his mentor can take the position from him, and then he's happy to be in the background again. And also, I haven't thought about whether or not he's actually gonna remain the headmaster, but I think he won't. I think he is gonna step down, and this academic year will be a big learning moment for him, and he will step down. I don't think he's gonna stay in that position. I don't want him to. But then again, this is how I feel right now, not knowing where the story is gonna go. The teachers have to live on campus with the students. So that also is like, how do the teachers have relationships? Do they have relationships at all? Because they have to they're living the majority of their lives in this school. Does that mean that a lot of relationships are from personnel? And I would imagine so. Like, this is like a very small community and you don't really have a lot of interactions. Now, could there be an outside village or a town that kind of meets the needs for the school? I'm not sure, because I find like, one, it reminds me of like Hogsmeade, how Hogsmeade is like the outside of Hogwarts and like where the kids will go out into town and like where other people live kind of ordinary lives that have nothing to do with the school. I think that it provides a good break for the students, for them to have that, but also for the adults in the school to like possibly have a day out. But I made the school very remote and that there is no city near them, so I'm not sure. Is it better than to make the school inside a larger community? But then I feel like the outside could still influence the inside, and that's why I want the school to remain very much untouched and unbothered and very separate from everything else, so that even the students are fully immersed. So yeah, I think I convinced myself. My initial idea is where I'm gonna stick to. The scene that I ended up writing was the creature that they're going to be following, or the creature that has crashed the party, the creature that has escaped itself from within the school. We don't know why it's out, but the point is it's out and it poses a danger to the students. And this is now the second sighting of that creature, and it happens during the welcome dinner. That is the chapter that I'm writing. In total, I got 666 words out. Of this actual scene, I think I'm going to use about 159 words that would be actually in the scene. And that is like the end where the person they pull in to investigate actually, like, Omri is giving his speech, his welcome dinner. He sees it kind of in the trees and he kind of freaks out, but keeps his composure, and he's looking for the goddamn investigator. Like, where is this guy? He's not even in this dinner where everyone is here. And so he needs to keep the attention of the students from noticing. And then one of the teachers beside him notices it. So now they're both kind of freaking out and he doesn't know what to do. If finally the investigator shows up, but he's like, la 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 la, oh, look at this building. Just like not even noticing what happens. But then kind of in an instant, something tenses in his body and he has that sense and he looks up and he sees the creature. So again, I'm making this up for that character, but that's not even my character. My co-author is in charge of that character, so I don't know what kind of powers or premonition or instincts she gave her character, but that's what I've bestowed upon him. So, hopefully it makes sense. But then he throws something into the ceiling, like immediately to try to capture the creature. And it flashes. It like releases like a white light. And all the students turn around. They're like confused. What just happened? The second teacher that noticed pulls all the students' attention again. Now, the tension in the room is because there's also a reporter there. And that reporter, he's there being nosy, kind of investigating, like moving around the cafeteria. They're also afraid when they see the creature that he would notice and he would either take a picture or sound the alarm. So now everyone's tense up front to make sure that they can keep the attention of the students and that reporter from noticing while the investigator chases this fucking creature and, whatever. That entire scene I described it with more length than it actually is because that's just about like 160 words. So I need to expand that, of course. Yeah, I spent so much time trying to figure out where I was in the scene. Like physically, I need to know my environment. And that's why I ended up going on Pinterest and in the first session, because I did two kind of writing sessions. I did one for 30 minutes, I did one for 40 minutes, and then I was on, I think, Pinterest for like 10 minutes looking at inspiration, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of where I want, but it's just like 6 pictures all together, and then in my mind, I know how I wanted to lay out. I have so many, I think, interesting visuals for the school because I wanted to look different. A magical architecture school. I don't know, I think it could be cool. So anyways, that's where I'm going to leave you off because I think there might be a little bit more that can get out of this session. So I'm going to try to see if I can write for a little bit more. If not, I still have my paper edits that this is what I printed and I need to get through. This is for my main project. That's KT. So maybe I'll call this one PX. KT PX. So far, good start to the day. It's 2 p.m. just before. And hey, I got some words written, which is a lot more than I've gotten in a bit. Bam. 56 minutes. And I got to, look at that, 1,400 words. That's a big deal. I'm feeling so good right now. You have no idea. Mostly this was me organizing the scene because I had written a lot of parts that were not going to be the scene. They were just building the story out. I wrote, I think, about 700 words. What's improperly in the scene is about 700 words. And of course, that needs to be more. So I have like the skeleton for that. Perfect. And then I have just like one paragraph, about 100 words of what I think the next scene is going to be. That scene is going to be him talking to the investigator. So for that, I think I'm going to do a very loose outline, 500, 600 words scene. And then I'm going to go into my co-author's document, read her chapter, find out all that I can about her character, and then see if this all still fits. I think it should. The only thing that would affect it is obviously their interaction, because I think that my character has already interacted with hers. I need to know like what he thought of him. So I'm very excited. It wasn't in the bingo for me. I really didn't think that I was going to work on that. I printed this out thinking I was just going to jump into this. But since it's been a few days since this chapter was submitted, I need to consider that I'm on time. It's a timer. I have to actually finish this. But I'm going to aim for that today. See if I can get a rough outline so that tomorrow I can edit. Tomorrow seems to be a very busy day. I have to go get some blood work done at the doctor, and then I need to go to the library to drop off some books that hella overdue. Once I do that, maybe I'll just stay at the library and work from the library. I think that's what I'm gonna do. And then tonight I will work on this. Oh my god, it's set. I'm set. I need to just make this happen. I need to write the next chapter. As it sits right now is 829. So if I can double that, get it to 1600, maybe even 1400 would be fine. And then I know I'll just need to add. So let's get it together. Am I back in a groove? Maybe. Let's not jinx it, but I'm excited. Okay, so I'm back from my walk. I'm tired. It was a nice walk. So far today has been like a very ideal day. This is not like my everyday. I'm glad it's happening this way. I'm going to aim for 3 hours total worked. So right now I haven't got back into it. I will see if I work on it maybe later on tonight. And then I really do want to get into my paper edits. But so far, so good.